Hey, Bill, what day is it?
Hey gang, welcome back to Hey Bill, what day is it? Our national day for this week is...
Let me, please, let me. I know this day. It's really special.
Oh? Why do I feel like I'm going to regret this?
Please.
Okay, what day is it?
It's your day. They created this just for you.
That's not very funny.
Sorry, not. This week, we celebrate National Nut Day.
Now cut that out. Don't you have another show to illustrate for me? Go back to work. I hate to admit it, but in one sense, she's probably right. After all, she's known me for over half a century, and most of my life I have demonstrated various unique qualifications for this honor. Although, to be fair, she's equally qualified for at least honorable mention. Every year on October 22nd, we observe National Nut Day. Yep, there it is. If it's not my special day, at least it's one of my favorites. Almost everybody who knows me considers me to be some kind of a nut. But like the old Almond Joy and Mounds commercial used to say, sometimes you feel like a nut and sometimes you don't. Take it from me, you just have to ration out this nut quality or they'll put you away for good. Well, let's look at the definition of the word here so that we can wrap our minds around our own nuttiness. First and foremost, to be nuts usually means to be insane, meaning your mind just isn't right. Using this definition, I think I qualify. When you look at the way I think about things compared to normal people, I'm definitely a nut. My outlook on life tends to be a bit more comedic than most other people you know. By that definition, and by your own experience with viewing some of my other videos, you'll have to admit that my wife, Eileen, has definitely been exposed to me for far too long. Obviously, she's also taken on some of my qualities. That has been and will be borne out in the illustrations she adds to my presentations. But we'll see more of that coming up. Another definition of nut is someone who is extremely fond of or enthusiastic about something. It looks like I fit in with this definition as well. I am a car nut, and a motorcycle nut, and a food nut, and a gun nut, and a Jesus nut. I'm inordinately fond of all of those things, although not necessarily in that order. National Nut Day, however, as observed on October 22nd, is not about the neighbor from down the street or crazy Uncle Charlie who lives in the attic. No, it's a food holiday celebrating a healthy and nutritious snack. Nuts are a highly prized food and energy source and are a plentiful source of ingredients for both humans and all kinds of wildlife. They're essential to animals, and especially those in temperate climates, as they store acorns and other nuts during the autumn months to keep from starving during late fall, all winter, and early spring. Nuts can be cooked, eaten raw, roasted as a snack food. They can also be pressed for oil that is used in cookery and cosmetics. Food and face cream just sounds wrong to me. Nuts get a clean bill of health from your doctor because the fats found in nuts, for the most part, are unsaturated fats, including monounsaturated fats, which makes them good for us. Many nuts are excellent sources of vitamins E and B2. They're also rich in protein, folate fiber, and essential minerals such as magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, copper, and selenium. As most of you know, I was in children's ministry for many years and learned more or less what to expect from kids when you ask certain questions. Once when I was teaching a children's sermon, I was looking for a specific answer to a question for an illustration I was using that day. I asked, "What's gray and furry and climbs trees and gathers nuts every fall?" One young man excitedly raised his hand, and so I called on him, and he said it sounded like I was referring to a squirrel, but he knew the answer must be Jesus. It's funny how we condition our kids to give us the answers we want, but that it sometimes can backfire on us. But enough with chasing squirrels. Several studies have shown that those who consume nuts regularly are less likely to suffer from coronary heart disease. It was in 1993 that nuts were first linked to protection against coronary heart disease. Since that time, many clinical trials have found that consumption of various nuts, such as almonds and walnuts, can lower serum LDL or bad cholesterol concentrations. One study has shown that people who ate nuts lived 2 to 3 years longer than those who did not. Those who were consuming nuts may have been eating less junk food, leading to a longer lifespan. Nuts are healthiest in their raw form. When Eileen yells at me for having nutshells all over my lap and ultimately on the floor, I just tell her I'm eating healthy so I can love her even longer. Since I'm a car nut, I have to include this nut definition. A small block of metal with a central threaded hole that is designed to fit around and secure a bolt or a screw. Without this kind of nut, our cars would all fall apart. I really think they put too many of these in cars these days, because every time I put a car back together, I seem to have a lot of them left over. One year, Eileen gave me a special gift of a bag of nuts. She said she thought I had a few loose screws that needed tightening. But back to our dictionary to revisit the definition of nuts. A nut is a seed contained in a hard shell that needs to be cracked open. A seed, on the other hand, is a fertilized ovule of a plant enclosed in the seed shell, which is stored food to nourish the plant as it grows. Some nuts are seeds, but not all seeds are nuts. It's a lot like me again here. Some persons are people, but some persons are nuts. Two of my personal favorite nuts are even mentioned in the Bible, so I know they have to be good for me. Almonds are mentioned 6 times in the Old Testament, and the pistachio is mentioned once. Those are the only nuts mentioned in the Bible. Almonds are the most popular type of nuts in the United States. They're a heart-healthy snack that's high in plant-based protein, fiber, fats, and key nutrients such as vitamin E and magnesium. Pistachios aren't only delicious, but they're also incredibly good for you. They're high in healthy fats and antioxidants, and they're low in calories and high in protein. People have been eating pistachio nuts for at least 9,000 years. The Queen of Sheba loved pistachios so much, she demanded that the entire region's pistachio harvest be set aside just for her. I knew she was more than just a pretty face. Other nuts that we automatically think of when listing nuts are cashews.
God bless you.
Thanks, but I didn't sneeze. I just said cashew.
God bless you.
Now cut that out. I know cashews and peanuts are international favorites that most people call a nut. But I've got news for you. Neither of them is technically a nut. That's right, cashews are a seed that grows at the bottom of the cashew fruit. It has one of the most delicious, rich, buttery, and nutty flavors, and the peanut is really a legume, more like soybeans and lentils. Peanuts are actually edible seeds. Although they grow underground, they're rich in healthy, unsaturated fats and fiber, just like tree nuts. Here's one I'll bet none of you have ever heard of. Nut, in Egyptian religion, is a goddess of the sky, vault of the heavens, often depicted as a woman arched over the earth god, Geb. Even I think that this one is probably a little too far off from the definitions of nut that we usually think of for our purposes here. So I digress. I'm sure when God created the Garden of Eden for Adam and Eve to reside in, he included all kinds of nuts, and he told them to enjoy all of them. He also told them that there was one tree in the middle of the garden that they were not to eat the fruit of. Most depictions of the Garden of Eden usually show this fruit to be an apple, but that is not supported by Scripture. We just know that they were not to eat it, and that they did, after being deceived by Satan, who took the form of a serpent. While we don't know exactly what the fruit was, Adam and Eve did know and were immediately aware that God was not happy with their choice of lunch for that day. That was the beginning of what God calls sin, and we're all guilty of it every day. As we see from this story, that one act separated Adam and Eve from God, and the problem persists to this day. The only way to restore our relationship to the Father is by accepting the free gift of forgiveness provided by His Son, Jesus. Jesus was the ultimate sacrifice for our sin with His death on the cross. I'm Bill Wasore, and this is Hey Bill, What Day Is It? If you want to spend eternity in heaven, join me in being a Jesus nut. That should definitely give you a triumphant day over your sin.